Hello, friends. The 989th day of the war between Russia and Ukraine continues. Russian troops entered the village of Sontsivka northwest of Kurakhove, according to a map from the military telegram channel Deep State. Fighting is already underway in the center of the village. Ukrainian military officials say the situation is escalating on the northern flank of Kurakhove, while in Sontsivka, the Russians have managed to gain a foothold, penetrating the defenses of the Ukrainian armed forces. A lieutenant with the call sign Alex calls for reacting to this before it is too late. This village is of great importance. It opens the way to the village of Stari Terny, next to which is the dam of the Kurakhove reservoir west of Kurakhove. With the loss of Stari Terny, the city will be partially blocked from the west, and the highway leading to Kurakhove will be under tight fire control of the Russians. Soldier Muchnoy writes that the enemy is 4 kilometers from Stari Terny. According to him, it is necessary to urgently take all appropriate measures and not turn a blind eye, because this could be the fall of Kurakhove. If the Russians enter Stari Terny, they will go behind our garrison and block the escape routes from Kurakhove, and thus logistics will not be able to get there either. In this case, it is very dangerous to leave fighters there. Ammunition and food will only be delivered by drones, writes Muchnoy. To the south of Kurakhove, the Russians, according to Deep State, continue to advance north of Yasna Polyana in the direction of Suhy Yali. Let me remind you that the Ukrainian military has already stated that fighting has begun for Suhy Yali. Yesterday, let me remind you, information appeared about new Russian assaults in the Kursk region. Deep State reported that the Russian army resumed offensive actions on Pogrebki, Zelenyi Shlyakh, Dar'ino, and Suja. The situation is being clarified on the last vector, and in other areas the main pressure was stopped, Deep State said in a message yesterday. Today, the Ukrainian telegram channel reported that the enemy continued its assault operations. The enemy's activity continued near Pogrebki, Zelenyi Shlyakh and Dar'ino. The enemy is moving in columns with landing troops. The fighting continues. The situation is being clarified, says the Deep State report. Russian telegram channels also report the resumption of offensive actions by the Russian army. But they claim that they managed to significantly advance through Pogrebki and Staraya Sorachina to the south towards Malaya Lakhnia. They are also attacking in the Novoivanovka area, which indicates their attempt to encircle Ukrainian units in the northern part of the Kursk bridgehead. Meanwhile, a series of pessimistic statements from volunteers and experts, as well as Western media regarding the situation at the front continues. At the same time, the topic of the need to lower the mobilization age, which is now 25 years, is being raised again. The front has not collapsed, but is going through the worst period since the spring of 2022. Things are moving towards lowering the mobilization age, said the well-known volunteer Taras Chmut. He believes that the factors that caused this can still lead to bad negative scenarios for the development of further events. Chmut said that the Ukrainian armed forces lack people, ammunition and strategic support from partners in non-linear counteraction to Russia. In his opinion, mobilization is happening no matter what, and the situation is moving towards lowering the mobilization age. He considers the idea of calling up 500,000 Ukrainians to be an adequate figure. Let me remind you that Commander-in-Chief Zaluzhny previously spoke about the need to mobilize such a number of men, but Zelensky criticized this proposal. Now the authorities have officially confirmed plans to mobilize 160,000 people. But whether this will be a feasible task, given that the rate of recruitment into the army, as many Ukrainian speakers admit, is falling, is a question. Let me remind you that volunteer Berlinskaya previously called for increasing mobilization and recruiting even women into the ranks of the Ukrainian army. But many refuse to go to war, including because the reinforcements are sent to the front practically untrained. Here is how it happens, according to the words of the People's Deputy Bezugla, using the example of the Rivne training ground of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. She said that she talked to the soldiers undergoing training at this training ground, and this is what they say. The certificate of completion of the course included subjects that were not studied at all: legal training, international humanitarian law, the regulations of the armed forces of Ukraine, psychological training, survival skills. For all illnesses, the doctor gives paracetamol. I had a suffocating cough for a whole month. I asked to check the bronchi and lungs, since I had already had pneumonia 3 times. No answer. They simply sent me back to the parade ground. I filed a report with a request for a medical examination, but the company commander did not accept it, the soldier says. Duties that distracted from studies were regular. The soldiers were forced to unload firewood, dig holes, unload supplies for the kitchen, and disassemble pallets. The shooting was chaotic. Those who did not know how to shoot simply intuitively pulled the trigger. Night shooting, no one understood its purpose. I have vision problems, I did not see the sight, so I just fired off the ammunition, the recruit said. The training camp ignored the directions to the brigades issued to one of the mobilized. In the conversation, I was told not to count on them. People are sent only to 8 brigades with a dubious reputation. Some are sent to the infantry without any assessment, some manage to get into drone units. Drunkenness was widespread in the training camp. If caught, they would leave you in a hole for the night. There were no official punishments, probably because the leadership did not want to spoil the statistics, the soldier reports. The dugouts were not available for shelter. If there was an air raid alarm, they would simply leave their tents to sleep outside in sleeping bags. They would form up 6 times a day and stand for 20 to 30 minutes. The company commander would respond to complaints with obscenities and say that they would stand as long as they were told. Unauthorized abandonment of the unit every day. It happened that up to 14 people would leave during the night. They say sometimes even more, Bezagla reported. A military psychologist from the 67th Brigade, Sontsivka, also reported that the number of those leaving their units without authorization is increasing. According to him, they are no longer leaving their units alone, but in groups. He explained that many soldiers do this solely because of internal conflicts and misunderstandings with their commanders, and not because of political or external factors. At the same time, according to Sontsivka, the Verkhovna Rada threw a dirty trick on the military by removing criminal liability for the first unauthorized abandonment of the unit. Friends, this channel exists solely thanks to your support. If you have the opportunity and desire to support the channel, I will be very grateful to you. Thank you very much and see you in the next video.